Welcome to Wandering Monster, the monster manual of podcasts. My name is John Baltusberger.
I am Charles R. Bernard.
Ian Sabas.
Mr. Paschke.
Son of a bitch. Also, we are hardly the monster manual of podcast anymore. It is an appellation that is built into the muscle memory of my tongue. But it's not really who we is.
It turns out that we were the monsters all along.
I mean, we have.
That was always the joke on the show. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was mostly Lemons who was the monster.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't exist.
And Charles's war crimes, velour war crimes. Friends,
do exist.
We come to you today, hat in hands, with an interrobang of a game. It's good.
Aren't
times.
you glad I introduced you to that expression? It's a fun. Interrobang is just fun to say. It's
actually,
the fancy word.
I gotta tell you, Travis McElroy introduced me to that expression with his podcast Interrobang.
Yeah,
it's a fantastic expression, and I heard someone on TikTok that was like, "Yeah, I've come up with a new punctuation mark. It's a mix between a period and an exclamation mark, so you can be." And I was like, "Why don't you?" Before you start playing willy-nilly with the rules of grammar, maybe know the rules of grammar. That's all I'm asking.
I like how you're holding that can of liquid death like maybe we could get a sponsorship someday. Yeah. That would just be real.
Look, Liquid Death, you say that you have a witch come down out of the mountains and curse every individual can of Liquid Death. All I'm saying is that the four of us are already cursed. There's potential. There's potential.
We can figure this out. Hey, Liquid Death. Do you like drinking out of cans? Do you like hydration? Are you cursed by an evil witch? Try Liquid Death. Now carbonated. Which the carbonated's really good. Not too carbonated.
Yeah, this is in fact the sparkling one. I like Topo Chico, which is the most carbonated of the sparkling waters. I like it because it burns.
Yeah, that's like a nice healthy amount of minerals in your mineral water.
Unfortunately, due to supply chain issues and also Texans being insufferable, I'm having a hard time getting Topo Chico. But I walked into my local grocers and found a case of Liquid Death for pretty affordable, so I picked that up instead. I generally prefer Topo Chico unless a certain other canned mineral water company would like to sponsor us, and then I will prefer their drink.
But speaking of supply chains and civilization collapse,
speaking of all that, first allow me to say thank you to everyone who donated money, both to GDQ and to us. That then went to Doctors Without Borders. We do appreciate that. Today we are playing GROK, or I guess GROK. However you want to pronounce the interrobang at the end of that. It's a game that first caught my eye on Kickstarter because the art was slam-a-jammin'. It's gorgeous. And so when Ian brought it to us and was like, would you guys like to play this? I, of course, said yes. I am still waiting for my copy. I was hoping to be able to show it off today, but no such luck. Ian, would you like to take us into the explanation of what the hell we're doing today?
Absolutely. Are you having that magic screen wipe? There we go.
Happened. It happened years ago.
Fantastic. All right. So, GROK is a fantastic game. We did a highlight of this, good number of months back, and it is available right now still in PDF format for just $1 US. And then you can get a print version from print on demand from Drive-Thru RPG for about like $9 or $10. Gorgeous art. Cheap. Oh yeah, by Matthias Vero at Doodles Kelly. Definitely a fantastic art, and also other people. This game is, I guess, let's do a little overview of what makes this game unique. Is there is a certain philosophy that's guided this creation of this book. There's a lot of really good inspirations from Electric Bastionland, Troika, Cortex Prime, and other ones, and it really shows. It's fantastically gonzo and whimsical without insisting upon itself, which is refreshing, because some gonzo is something you have to do well, or it's just trite and flabby. So the art, I think, really kind of pulls everything together. But the game is interesting because the core game is you have 3 stats with a total of D20 worth of die sizes that are distributed across your 3 stats. So like someone might have a D12 and a D4 and a D6, and those are the dice that they roll for their challenges. Very simple, streamlined. You can roll up a character in literally a minute or 2, depending on how fast you can roll D20s. And it's player forward and narrative focused. So a little snapshot about the world lore and why this really works is that the world itself was a hollow planet that was full of the Void Star, or a source of mana that was used by the hyper-technological thaumaturgic societies that built a space station to harvest this and fuel their utopian society. Of course, nothing perfect ever lasts forever, so a unknown cataclysm caused the harvesting mechanism to basically backfire, releasing a tidal wave of magical energy across the planet GROK, shattering it. So you have all these islands that are kind of floating with their own localized gravity. Everything that used this previous form of technology was rendered inoperable because the fundamental nature of the mana itself had changed. So you have a cataclysm that happened with no technology to really support it, and the world kind of crumbled. So you've got 4 major areas to explore. You have the simulacrum, the giant spaceship that still orbits around the planet, that's kind of held together by an AI and bubblegum and a hope and a prayer, that's constantly shedding radiation to everything below it on the world. You have islands, which are those floating areas that all have their localized gravity, that people cling to the underside of that to be shielded from the radiation. You have the wastelands, or the kind of surface top areas, especially closer to the original crust of the planet. People who live there are vagabonds, but are also horrible mutants at times due to the influence of the cosmic or the spaceship radiation. And then lastly, undergrounders, who are kind of driven mad by being so close to the void energy of the planet and being bombarded by all the radiation wastes. So that's a lot there to unpack. The thing that you need to know is that this game is fueled by tons of random generated tables. So everything you're going to see today are just random things that I rolled using a whole heck of a lot of dice. So anything that seems absolutely bizarre or weird is a natural product of dice rolls. Even our characters. So with that, why don't we allow our characters to introduce themselves? So tell us what your name is, a little bit about you, and I don't know, a fun fact or a fun piece of your equipment that you want to share. Oh, and maybe your motivation.
I'll go first.
Sweet.
Hi there. I'm Zarg P. Floatstem. I'm a time traveler from the future who's here to deal with some stuff. I've got a 3D paintbrush. I'm pretty sure it's beyond your technical know-how to paint in 3 dimensions. Your art's all flat on walls.
I'll go next. You can just call me Jarl, and don't worry about my torchbearer. He's just my torchbearer. And I am an elven ranger. Regrettably, I am disgraced. I done lost my elven bow, and until I find it, they won't let me back into Morrowind or wherever. So yeah, here I am among these realms, following my good buddy the time traveler and other vagabonds in search of various bric-a-brac from across the winds of time. Joining the merry chase.
I wanted to know real quick, Ian, before I describe myself. When I was first looking at the GROK, it reminded me a lot of Troika. And
Absolutely.
the description of the world also kind of reminds me, has a very Troika flavor to me. Would you say that these belong on the same banquet table?
I would, and also would throw in the ultraviolet grasslands, which wasn't directly mentioned in the inspiration, but that kind of fever dream gonzo,
Very cool.
feudal whimsy. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Cool. Sorry, I was trying to ask before, but something was going wrong with my mic apparently. Good day, fellow gentlemen. My name is Nicholas Shatterbone Cage, and I am I'm a gentleman's gentleman. As you can tell from my green skin and stature, I am in fact an orc. However, I detest the supposition that orcs are a brutal and savage race. We are finely cultured. We have plenty of things to share with societies all around us. And if you were to, say, use the racial slur of calling me a pigman or any other sort of bigotous response, I would tear your head off your body, spit down your throat, pull your spine, and use it to wipe my fucking ass. But it will not come to that. I am sure we can all engage in civilized discourse. I am technically indentured to our time traveler. I am his gentleman's gentleman, as it were. However, as he goes about his business, I am searching for the perfect blend of tea and spices to make a perfect cup for my friend's wedding.
And before we get started, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that the fabulous author of this is Lester Burton, and so we appreciate him letting us showcase his game. So make sure if you haven't already picked up a copy, go ahead and check out the links that we've shared before that you can get this on Itch or Drive Through RPG. Get it now for $1. And if you are one of our fantastic viewers, if you want to randomly roll encounters or various things instead of NPCs, they're called DCs. If you want to make one of those somehow, I'll shoehorn them in for fun. So,
and if you are one of our listeners or viewers on YouTube, all the links for all this stuff will be down below in the description. Click that bell, smash that like.
It helps a lot more than you might think. That's why everyone says do it. Just
really
do it.
Helps us,
it
though.
It really makes a difference.
If you don't, they beat me mercilessly after the show.
You weren't supposed to talk about that. That's another beating.
God,
thank God we give him the good makeup to cover those bruises.
Flip flops on a stick, right to his face.
I was taught combat. I was taught combat by my abuela.
So the three of you have been adventuring together through a couple of adventuring encounters of various kinds. For some reason, you just naturally have survived all the bizarre encounters that you've done, and somehow you have liked each other long enough that you're going to continue exploring GROK together to hopefully mutually assist one another, from finding that mystery blend of herbs and spices for that tea to Zarg, if you are delivering a interstellar package of some kind, to Charles, did you say that you are what did you say your character's name now is? Is it
I think I was just mispronouncing what you already gave me.
I'll change it to whatever you want it to be.
Eolus? I thought it was like a like a reference to Legolas. Green
It was
leaves
a
along with
randomly
the tree.
generated name too, and I was like, "I bet someone's going to think that's a Legolas." So I thought you said Yaris at first, and I was like, "I guess you're a car now." Iolus is perfectly fine.
Iolus, yeah.
Do you remember my
Iolus.
name? Do you remember my name, Ian?
Yes, Nicolas Cage.
Yep. Nicholas Bone something Cage.
I think
Cheddar
now we're going
Bone.
to be basically shoehorning Nicolas Cage references in each game now,
As much as possible.
As
really,
we
yeah.
should, yeah.
as one does.
Nicolas Cage, if you are listening, you don't need to sponsor us. We are very happy to include you in what we do. But if you want to like come and guest play with us,
Absolutely.
like holy, like
John, would you say that Nicolas Cage is a national treasure?
That probably just now he's probably just turned off now.
You blew it, Charles. Nick, if you want to write a book, maybe put someone else's name on it. Be a ghostwriter. I will publish you though.
Okay.
But you know what, Nick? If you want to come on this show, we could just take one of our faces off and put yours on, and then you could play.
What if all of us wore Nicolas Cage masks?
We're gonna do that one day. You've now made it happen. So.
I love it. I love it.
I've already
what if we kept
proven
making
that I'm a
Nicolas
guy who
Cage
buys
jokes
shit
instead
with
of playing the game and making Ian's head just go redder and redder as we keep making Nick Cage jokes?
I'm going to get so many bees and a Nicolas Cage mask to put around my own head. And they'll just be pouring bees in over the course of the podcast.
Oh.
All right. Do we have this all out of our system now?
Absolutely not. But we'll keep going.
For days.
I'm going to see all of
go
you
with
in
your thing
detention
for now.
after the show. Oh, poor Lester is probably like, these knuckleheads. All right. So you find yourselves, in a. You've just recently finished doing your last encounters. Tell me a little bit, what was the last adventure that you had completed in like a 15-word nutshell?
Well, there was the adventure at the bar that we all went on. I thought it went quite well for me. Not so much you.
Drinking.
It so happened to be that you facilitated a large shipment of barrels of a quantum beer to one of the many floating islands. It's one of those recreational islands that has bars on both sides, the radiation and the non-radiation areas. And you've, of course, helped a lot with quality control and sampling, so probably some of you might have a little bit of a swollen brain today, but you find yourself after that in a squalid merchant way station. There are various humanoids here that are departing on small crafts, either ones that are going to be skipping to other islands that are floating about, waiting for the radiation storms to pass, or to take some of the tubes that lead downward closer to the crust. Overseeing the station itself is a robot that is about 2 times the size of a normal humanoid and has a very vague, blank expression, like LCD screen for a face, and is furiously hitting buttons and switches at a kiosk at the center of the station. On all sides of the station, there are various crafts going to their destination.
Okay, quick huddle. I'm gonna say Nicholas should be our designated spokesperson to this metal gentleman, because he is so very he has just a flourish to the way he speaks. I'm a pessimist, and I'm just gonna bum a robot out talking about heat death and how they'll be there to see it and yada yada. So. And you have a tendency, and you have a tendency to let spoilers about like people's actual futures slip. So no offense,
Look,
buddy, but I think we
all
got.
I'm saying is that beer was quantumly entangled, and I have someone else's memories in my head right now because of where their beer is at in their brain.
That's fantastic.
This is not my fault.
And what do you want me to do with this, man? I do apologize, sir, but what exactly are we trying to accomplish here?
Well, we had 2 shipments come in, and I figured that we should probably check on one of them. Being as pessimistic as I am, I figured that we probably lost both of them, but we might want to check and see if one of them arrived. You know, that quantum beer can be unpredictable. Its state is hard to figure out sometimes.
Out of character, I want y'all to know that social is my lowest stat. I am terrible.
Good.
Yeah, I'm terrible at it.
Double down.
All my stats are terrible except for one, and it's not going to help us in this situation.
Well, keep in mind that
Sir. Hello, sir. Could I bother you for but just one moment of your time?
the robot has, it almost seems like the face is glitching because it has very large pixels for where the eyes would be in like a general mouth shape, and you think it's glitching because it's like the pixels for its eyes are bouncing up, bouncing down, bouncing up, bouncing kind of different directions, and you realize that this robot has absolutely no clue of what it's doing, and it eventually snaps its pixels on you. The pixels kind of dilate, and it shakes its head and it's like, loading social module, goodbye. And it looks very excitedly expectant at you.
We are looking for 2 shipments. That's 1 and 2 shipments of quantum beer. It is, to my knowledge, paid for. Legally shipped using legal tender, and it is up to us to deliver it to its location where it must go.
As you are,
And now you go.
so it looks like it's searching through a database when you are saying that you are looking for the quantum beer, and again, its eyes kind of scroll around of its head, its mouth shape kind of scrambles a bit, and you think you're smelling molten plastic and burning wires coming from inside its head, and you see, like, in the little corner of the screen written in common, it says error, 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 and the robot looks to you and goes, I know of no destination called that. Please Tuesday
So
again
I walk
tomorrow.
up at this point. I walk up to Nicholas, and I'm like, you know what? Not a lot makes me laugh, but that was pretty funny what you did to that robot.
You both know Nicholas by this point has a very short fuse, and he has begun opening and clenching his fists, which means he's about two words away from attacking this robot.
I'm like, all right, man. We should probably just go check one of the places. I mean, it didn't show up at either of them, I'm sure of it, but we should check maybe one of those cool floating island places.
But that robot should do its job, don't you believe? Don't you agree?
Well, I could smack it for you if you want.
I am more than capable of delivering my own fisticuffs to the machine.
All right. Okay.
And you're saying this
You hear
right?
that, sir?
The robot itself looks blankly at both of you and gives a vague shrug, which you're not sure if it means it heard it understood or it just doesn't know what it's doing. And it goes back, and you see that it's furiously flipping switches, and it's a switchboard that it's in front of for sending these various crafts to their destinations, and it's flipping them at random.
Oh God.
No, you do not. I say quite indignantly, and Shatterbone steps forward, and what is this robot humanoid, or is it like a big box? Like what? What are we looking? What
It's
am I
a
working
very-
He
with?
said humanoid with a screen-like face. So
It's
But like
it's
it has a neck.
humanoid.
Yeah, it's got like kind of like a telescope neck with like a big flat, almost kind of boxy LCD screen kind of head.
I can picture it right out of
I'm
Futurama.
going to grab its neck as though I'm grasping the haft of an axe with
The
its head as the
bathrooms are
palm,
that ways.
and I'm going to begin swinging it against the floor.
So you just basically telescope at the neck and just bash it back and forth.
Yeah, I am hulking this Loki robot.
All right, go ahead and make me the first roll of the night. So you're going to be rolling your physical stat, since you are going to be forcing, against its own internal gyros against your strength. So go ahead and roll that.
No and.
All right. So, and what was your intention for this action? Are you just wanting to vent your frustration, or are you trying to be just enough to make it work?
No, Shatterbone was mad and felt like protecting these ships from going to the wrong location was all the justification he needed to break it.
All right, so you grab it by the neck and you throttle and smash it to the ground back and forth. You hear wires snapping at its neck, and it's saying random words over and over that it knows. Usually something about like, the next train is banana, and to your left is your mother, and just nonsensical things.
You leave my mother out of
Its
this.
head detaches and flops forward on the switchboard, and you hear a bunch of switches flip all at the same time.
Oh no!
Two of the different small light crafts crash into each other and explode, and you see there is a destination board above you where like they're flipping and they're all saying like inactive, destroyed, and so it looks like you've caused massive damage to the station, except for two different destinations that it's garbled. One just says Isles, and the other one says Wasteland.
So at this point, I walk up
We,
to
my friends,
Nicholas and I
should-
say, uh-oh, he left the room. I'm going to wait for him to come back before I say my line, because I was going to say, I thought that first thing was funny, but this is really funny. There you are. I was going to compliment you. I was.
Did you get
I
my
was
finger
saying,
guns?
Yeah.
All right. As long as you got my
was-
finger guns, I feel good about it.
Yeah. I walk up to you and I say, I thought that you and that robot was funny, but that was really funny.
I
I
appreciate.
just think that
I appreciate that. So I do appreciate your kind words, but we ought to leave. I think.
Yeah,
Quite
a
looks
shit
show
like
in
we're
it.
going to the islands.
Oh yeah, we should remember that you know the future.
Once you have just kind of destroyed the panel in front of you of all the switches, you can see that there is a manifest shipping log for the actual freight goods that have come through. So you could stop and take time to go through that as the station is beginning to burn down around you, or you could hop on one of these two forms of exodus, either to an unknown island, hopefully nearby, interrobang, or something that's going to go down to closer to the surface of GROK.
I
so
think I would know.
Pashki, do you have a relatively high intelligence for our group? Because
I don't have it listed as a stat. I've got physical, mental.
Mental.
Yeah, so that's a D6.
Would you like to make a roll to see if you can divine what happens if you might choose one of these two?
Oh, sure. We'll give that a roll. That's a 6. All right.
Tell me what your intention is as you kind of pull on your chrononaut nature.
Look at that. The only two places. I know one of them sounds familiar. It should be the one to go to, and
It is the place that the location would take you if you took the island ship. It says something about a scrapyard. Yeah, it is some type of
I
scrapyard where sometimes goods are sent. The other location to the surface leads to some type of multi-dimensional shattered mountain.
the beam probably went to the mountain. That's why it's quantumly entangled.
Well, that's at the
Would
wasteland,
explain
not an
it.
island. So
Well, it will be eventually. Maybe you might live long enough to see it.
well, there is
This is. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say this is agonizing. We're going to the islands. Let's just get in the goddamn vehicle and go to the scrapyard then.
So people are kind of running in terror as all of their plans, their vacation plans, their exploration plans, and everything else have been canceled as most of the ships have been destroyed. And so you see that no one, for some reason, is going to this small blue little craft that looks to be run by autopilot. Probably there's no pilot in the cockpit. There's just like a box, and there looks to be enough room for up to 6 people to fit kind of cramped in the back of this blue little light craft. So you all
Perfect.
hop in.
3 of us and my torchbearer, which I really want to
Okay.
have in real life, by the way. Someone carrying around an open flame around me. Love it.
So you all pile into this craft, and it smells like lilacs, like there's been some type of spray that's been in here to keep it fresh, and it's spotless inside here. You nestle into the seats, the door pneumatically closes behind you, and you feel a slight depressurization in this space, which is odd. And again, you think it's odd there's no pilot, and there's this giant box where there would be a pilot, and it's beginning to thrum and glow with lots of weird colors kind of radiating on the sides. Your ship picks off the ground a couple of feet, and you fly like a slingshot straight forward. You see like you're almost going right towards one of these large islands that looms in front of you, and it looks like you would smash right into the side of it. You feel like yourself is being pulled more and more into the seat by just the G forces and the strain of getting close into one of these gravity wells. And when you look like you're about to hit right into the side of the island, you almost pass through it. You feel this snap sound, and you and your ship and everything in it turn 2-dimensional, and you slip through the island into a 2-dimensional representation of the island itself.
That's fun.
So
That's
After-
fun.
We link between worlds.
got a little Buckaroo Banzai here.
Charles, I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Mr. Paskey, I got your joke and I appreciate it.
I didn't hear it because I was probably making.
It's okay. Buckaroo Banzai is better.
So yes, so after a almost indeterminate amount of time, because now that you're 2-dimensional and compressed, you have a difficult time really reorienting yourself to space and time. You think that maybe that perhaps the gravity well here was so intense that this island itself exists as an anomaly, that it's this almost paper thin, large looking like sheet, and now you're on one of the flat surface here. Your spacecraft, almost like a piece of paper, floats down to what looks to be like a 2-dimensional scrapyard. There are various representations of detritus and junk, old cars, old bits of spaceship, 2-dimensional tires, And you see that there are tons of different packages or giant boxes that are kind of distributed at randomly in this scrapyard. So perhaps your package with the Quantum beer keg may have somehow landed here.
Does
Question.
that mean that the other beer is 2D?
Well, this one at least would be 2D. Oh, I see what you're saying because it's entangled. You're not sure. Maybe
Mhm.
they'll be maybe it'll be 3-dimensional. Who knows?
Okay. Question. Are we now 2D?
Yes.
May
How
I
much
now
can we eat
request?
before we get fat?
Can I request that we now look like kind of 1930s style cartoon characters?
I
Like
certainly
rubber
don't.
hose.
You can look like that. I refuse, sir.
I was already wearing
I
the gloves.
immediately look like that, and I'm kind of dancing in place and toying with music I can only hear. Okay, I'll
Man,
stop.
do
the
I look like
dancing,
Marvin
but-
the Martian?
A little bit with your
I
helmet.
look exactly like a Frank Frazetta, fire and ice sorcery cartoon.
Nice.
It's interesting that you say fire and ice because as you survey the flat horizon, as it were, you do see something that looks like fire and something that looks like ice dancing around.
Noise.
Or maybe not dancing, but moving around some things in the future. Your perspective is a little bit hard to tell since everything is two-dimensional in this space. But then you see other odd forms kind of combing through the scrapyard that look amorphous or oddly colorful or have swirling aspects to it. It's almost too hard to determine from here. You need to get closer to figure out what these things are.
Well, luckily for us, as a side scroller, this is like it's pretty easy to figure out where to go.
Yeah, we can go left or right.
Yeah.
Exactly. We just arrived on the
We
left.
could go up or
so-
down.
So if you
This
go
is
to the
true.
right, that's more into the scrapyard region. If you go more to your left, that's a little bit outside your field vision on the opposite side of
Oh.
your craft. It looks like maybe there's a village where you see house shapes in the far distance.
Well, people drink beer and also live in villages. Village time? What do you guys think?
I mean, did we think they stole our beer, or are we getting the beer from the village?
I mean, we delivered it here. I assumed that we had to confirm the shipment or get paid
You gotta
for
go get
it.
the cake deposit.
You made
Yeah.
it sound like you
Get
were
the
going to be
tank
delivering
deposit.
this to somewhere and perhaps it got shipped to the wrong spot. So
Yeah, okay. That's what it is. So,
So-
I have no idea where this was supposed to go, but probably not into the second dimension. It's very hard to drink two-dimensional beer because it's all flat. Oh!
just waiting to use that.
Well,
It's actually a pretty good joke. I just want to look mad about it. I
and I
approve.
got to it first. Thank you. Yeah. I don't know. I'll let someone else drive. I'm supposed to be a pessimistic guy in this one, so.
Well, does that mean you're balanced by your torchbearer? Are they a super optimist that rankles you? Or is he also just as dour as you?
He started out as an optimist, but I issued a decree that he shut his goddamn mouth, and now he's kind of sold up. So,
Hey,
but
you've-
he is
you've
also.
You've adopted the John Baldisberger School of Leadership.
That's right, and he, like me, is now a dancing cartoon, just like with his torch in the air, and the torch has like a face. You know,
Ugh.
I like
Ugh,
being a cartoon.
I say.
It's great.
So, yeah, I hear that you're going to be heading more towards the village then?
Yes,
Yeah.
in the
So-
absence of other opinions, sure.
I mean, someone stole our beer. It's out there. We have to go get it.
That's right.
So as you side scroll to the left, You see that this would be kind of a pleasant rolling hills area that you'd be going through, but it's just lines and texture. It's odd because part of you with your previous three-dimensional brain, you would have a hard time comprehending space and distance, but there's this part of you now that you're like, this somehow makes sense. I relate to this. And you kind of take in this picturesque landscape. The village itself is glows blue, and the buildings themselves are almost slightly translucent. You see that there are various villagers milling about. They also all kind of have this very thin blue color to them as well. Um, so it's just like the village is blue and superimposed upon this two-dimensional landscape.
Guys, I've solved the puzzle.
Babidi.
No. So we got blue people here and ice. We got red people there and fire. What happens when you put on red and blue glasses and look at a red and blue picture that's slightly offset?
It goes
pop
into
a
the
boner.
third
That's
dimension.
pretty clever.
Yeah, I think that maybe we need to bring these folks back into focus, so to speak. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, so they probably had some kind of a falling out at some point when the mayor's dog was kidnapped by the groundskeeper of the local community college, and that's when the two towns became separate.
They separated into 2D because they just hated each other so much.
Yeah, couldn't stand to look across.
So that's a pretty good theory. I guess you can only find out by exploring the village, maybe interacting with some of the villagers proper. They don't really seem to be noticing you, just they seem to be milling about, interacting with one another, almost very much the same type of NPC behavior that you would notice in a video game in a way, which kind of gives you almost like a slight unnerving feeling to you, kind of being on the outside, looking at these circuitous behaviors of the people.
If I crouch down over a certain color block, will I go behind buildings?
You know, if you do that, you might glitch things out, so it's may not be.
Mechanically, this won't matter. Good to know. So, do you want to approach someone? Who wants to go first? Should I go first since I'm already talking, or does someone want to take point?
Nah, you go for it.
All right. Greetings, human. Earth, or wait, no, we're not on Earth. Hi, Rocklane. How are you?
So the figure churns. If you can kind of, I guess you have to swivel almost your two-dimensional image as it snaps to relative frame. And as you're looking at this figure, you realize that it's somewhat translucent all the way through. The person and almost all the buildings all almost seem like they have a holographic feel to it, as if it's being somehow projected onto this space. The figure looks like almost would be like a stereotypical farmer in a way. That their whole outfit, holding a pitchfork, they have a worn hat, everything again in this blue color, and looks at you and it waits a second. Howdy. What brings you to our fine village?
Oh, the standard. Looking for a beer shipment that went wrong. That's normal.
Beer. That's something that people like to drink. Was it valuable?
No, not at all. If you have beer, you should just give it to us to take it off of your hands.
I was going to say that anything that is valuable, it goes to the plant. It demands anything and everything of value. If it came here and if it was valuable, the plant has it.
All right, so a factory.
Oh no. and the hologram starts to almost look nervous and looks over its shoulders, two-dimensionally swiveling back and forth, making sure that nothing's hearing it. No, it's actually a plant. It is a large plant that has horns, and it can breathe fire. It lords over everything in this area upon a pile of riches, and it needs more.
So it's a dragon.
Oh, it's a plant. The farmer
Plant dragon?
looks.
Look, man, plants can be a lot of things if they put their mind to it. I don't appreciate your one dimensional even thinking about what a plant is or is not capable of.
Is this plant green tea?
This plant
Is
Biolante.
the plant green tea?
If the plant is Biolante, I'm going to lose my goddamn shit.
The farmer
Godzilla damn
looks
shit.
past you, or like looks at you, Nicholas, and it's green, but I don't know if it's tea, but it's green.
I think I should try to drink this plant.
And the farmer just looks aghast and he's like, I wouldn't do that. And you can see he's like clutching his pitchfork.
Yes, but you
nervously.
are tiny and weak, and I am mighty and strong. Do you understand? There's a physical difference between you and I, one that can only be quantified in my mightiness.
It conveys the most
Majestic.
that you could do in 2D.
Wow.
He goes, well, if you want to see the plant, and he points over further to the left. You just need to scroll past the village, and you will see it.
So should we go? Should we jump over you or to lift you up out of our way as we cross?
I'd take offense to that, sir.
Well, I'm going to have to do one or the other.
Can you
I can't very well
behind
go
the
around
subject?
you, can I? Can I, sir?
It looks and he goes, I suppose I reckon you're right. I guess you
suppose
can
I
jump
reckon
over
I
me.
am.
Yeah, let's all see if we can clear him. That'll be a fun. What
Is there-
I agree.
Can I pull up a
strength check,
radish?
or-
A radish?
Ooh, that makes me think. Actually, like I would like
Bro.
to. I would like to jump right over this farmer, which I intend to impress him with how mighty our band is, that he might give us additional information about this plant. So I'm
Well,
going to do like a Super Mario style, just like way up in the air over this guy.
Yeah, you do have
and I
D12
think
for
that
your
is this-
physical, so.
Yep, exactly. So we're going to go ahead and give this little guy a roll.
Now, you don't
And-
naturally... Oh, wait.
That's a 7, so I'm going to have to do the advantage and roll again.
Well, that would be using effort. So you could do effort, but then you get a complication from expending effort.
7 is
So-
a success.
7 is a success. It's yes, and it's
Oh,
as you
okay.
intended.
Oh, good.
So-
Okay, so I clear him. Yeah, just like
Uh,
towering over his head.
You don't make any type of video game noise that you're two-dimensional. However, that doesn't stop you from making such a noise as you leap. Do you choose to make some type of sound?
You goddamn rabbit.
Oh, I can't do the noise just right, but like the has always impressed me. So that's
Nice.
the noise I'm going to make as I go over him.
All right.
Yeah.
So you jump over the farmer, and Zarg, you look for a turnip, but you don't seem to have one in your inventory. I believe. What?
I have a 3D paintbrush. Could I paint a turnip and then throw it at this villager NPC?
It's a 3D paintbrush, though, bro.
How would that work? This is so interesting because that's kind of like a reverse of a paintbrush, but now you're in like an anti-world for that brush.
Yeah.
Would it break the entire world for him to use it?
I
Well,
guess the
yeah.
question is, do you choose to experiment with the brush and find out?
Do it. Do it.
I've
Do
never
it.
heard of this
Do
going
it.
wrong.
Do it.
So it
Yeah.
must be a good idea.
They're going to fire up the Large Hadron Collider again. What could possibly go
Yeah.
wrong in this particular timeline?
All right. So I want to see how this works. I'm going to have you use this brush as a mental roll because I think that this could go horribly wrong, and I want to see how wrong this
What
goes.
kind of cosmic horror? Yeah.
Yes.
I love it.
So, let's see here. You see, I happen to have this 3D paintbrush, and I've gotten it on myself.
What did you
I got
roll?
a 1.
You rolled a 1.
Yes.
Fantastic. So you pull
Early
out
game
your
tonight, folks.
paintbrush, and as you were trying to paint a turnip in midair, you successfully
what it'll
start to
be!
break the space-time
That's what
continuum
it'll
here.
be.
As you're making a turnip that looks like a black hole, and you're creating like a small gravity well, and like your paintbrush gets sucked in it, and you start to like get pulled towards this glowing turnip that also seems to absorb all light. All the villagers that are in proximity here hear the sound of reality breaking, and they either run in terror in either direction, jumping over you if need be, or go inside their houses out of sight as your turnip begins to just slowly expand.
Welcome
So
to
hear me out for
die.
a second. Hear me out for a second. Bro, my new NFT, it's a 5D turnip. Watch this. And that's how it ends. That's it. That's the end of our world. Like, it's going to be someone trying to make an NFT that's a 5-dimensional turnip, and that's it.
Not wrong. So you are hearing all this reality begin to fracture and break around you. The question is, do you want to still advance towards the plant and figure out where your keg of beer is, or make your way back to the spaceship?
I mean, we came here on a mission. I just created singularity. Bail.
Yeah, bail.
Yes.
So
Correct.
here's the fun thing.
Correct.
Iolus, you jumped over
Oh,
the villager.
fuck!
I'm assuming
Yes!
you're stuck between a turnip and a hard place.
Oh no!
So, how are you going to get past this quantum turnip?
I know you guys aren't going to like this. But what's the name of my torchbearer? Because
Dead
this
meat,
is still a
probably?
pretty small. This is still a pretty small singularity. So I at least owe it a name on the farewell. Taranth Torsafra?
Eisenhorn.
Yeah. Yeah, let's just rename him Eisenhorn. And your service has been noble, I say, as I stuff him into it, plugging it, and like kind of jumping off of his legs, which are protruding from it, and kicking, and like hopefully making it over. So is that a strength check? I hope. 'Cause if it's a mental check,
as you shove your torchbearer towards this glowing turnip artifact, blight against reality, his body conforms around it, and you hear all of his two-dimensional bones snap as it just, like Katamari Damacy style, like it gets absorbed to the turnip. So you can now try to jump over him, but you're going to need to make a strength check, or else you might stick to the turnip as well. These are things that I would have never planned in my mind. So I think this is what's so great about GROK, is that all these random tables, I would have never in a fever dream done any of this.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to effort that because I rolled a 2. So
all right,
let's spend an effort point, which fell on the ground. I don't know where it is. There it is. Oh, I'm gonna re-roll it because I couldn't see what it was. Here we go. It is a 4, which I think is a borderline pass, or is that still a fail?
So that's still a fail, but you add it. So are you your 2 dice together equals
Okay,
just
yeah.
4?
Then that's a 6. Yeah, that's
That's a
6 with the
6.
2 together.
So it is as you intended. You were able to clear through.
Excellent.
However, getting that close in proximity to the turnip is causing a disturbance of your items that are on you, so they're getting pulled towards the well, which is either you're going to be losing your invisible shield or your universal translator.
You're incorrect. I could lose all of my clothing.
Actually, I'm so sorry. You've rolled a 6, and technically, I guess nothing bad happens. So, actually, wait, use the effort. So you do need that. I was right.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I believe
okay.
using
Yeah.
effort means something bad happens.
Exactly. You get a condition. So, do you want to lose one of those items as a condition, or have something else worse happen? Well, not worse, but something else. I decide.
Random.
Pants.
Or yeah, pants.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what's more fun: go fully nude for the rest of this, or yeah, sure, yeah. As I'm jumping over, I just get like one of my little like pleats in my elf costume, outfit, stuck in Sorry.
All right. So,
And it's a one piece, so just like whoosh, just like
It's a romper. It's an elf romper.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh no, you're wearing a romper, but it's got like a pocket for your butt. so the flap opens.
But it's okay. It's okay because all of his items are in a fanny pack.
Yeah.
so your
And
condition.
that's untidy enough to survive it.
You have lost your outfit. So your condition is going to be horribly or embarrassingly naked. So all you have is your
You haven't met
pack
Charles.
items.
I would like to say that nudity as a condition, as a status condition, should be like something that people play around with more in games. I think. I think it's great.
In your case, you're going to be getting disadvantage on your social rolls until you're able to undo the condition of being embarrassingly naked, which is
I think that would depend on whatever island we go to next.
Maybe we go to the
Maybe
nudist
there's
island.
one that's hedonism 27 or whatever this one is.
So the rest of you, the group of you, make your way back to the ship, and the further that you are going towards the ship, you're feeling that gravity intensify more and more. Two-dimensional objects are flinging themselves and getting stuck to the turnip. There are like two-dimensional cows. There are two-dimensional rocks, and you like feel as more objects get pulled to it, that the event horizon keeps just extending outward.
Awesome.
So by the time you get in your ship and leave, you swear you see some type of giant green plant spitting fireballs in various directions, and
It was a
something that
dragon.
maybe looks like a keg getting crushed against the gravity well.
The piranha plant.
It was-
Hey, quick question.
Yep.
What happens when you press a quantum material into a singularity?
I don't
Well,
think we have
the
any
other
fucking
half
idea.
should be crushed. So whatever the beer in this like dimension, the same thing will happen to the other quantum entangled beer. So if this just got sucked into a black hole and compressed down to like the size of a pebble, the other
State change,
quantum
he's right.
beer
Yeah.
should become a pebble. So someone
Which-
drinking a beer, their brain just got smashed
Oh,
Well,
because the
theoretically-
alcohol's in their head.
Theoretically, too, if you took the volume of a whole keg of beer and crushed it down to a pebble, wouldn't that isn't that the definition of a fusion explosion? Because you're like super compressing all of that material, And
Yeah.
I think that it would cause
the
an
sing-
energy release, right?
The singularity would stabilize it on our end, but would that go to the other end as well, or would it break its quantum entanglement and explode?
I think it would explode, guys. I think
These
I
are
think
the
we beer nuked.
questions.
Well, I think your question
Yeah.
might be answered because as you are translating back to three-dimensional space, you look up and you see the simulacrum. There is an explosion in one of the hex sections of the ship, and debris is just raining down. You can
Hey, I
see
found the other
emergency
keg.
lights, just like
We win.
We solved a riddle, Ian.
That's right.
That's what you get for putting the word quantum and beer together.
no, that was not me. That was you, Pashki.
You said quantum beer. I was just like, oh, why
You
is it
should know
quantum
better
beer?
than to trust
What does
Pashki
quantum
with
mean?
decisions.
So
These are the
Your-
type of existential scientific questions that good tabletop games make you ask, you know?
I just want to point out that our first action in this world was to cause a massive environmental and loss of life disaster in a spaceport, followed by the destruction of a reality, followed immediately by the nuking of another reality.
I think we just broke the not just the game, but I think we just broke
Ian, we
GROK.
broke Ian
you
for
know?
sure.
Well, the simulacrum is large and it has the self-enclosed hex region, so you've just blown up one of those, but who knows what catastrophic...
Well, 3. We've destroyed 3 so far. And we still have,
Well,
we
there
still
was
have
a
an
2D
hour.
space.
Oh, no, well, no,
That's true.
there's...
Yeah.
Well, the fun thing is, your box that is
Oh yeah,
inside
because
your
of the
ship,
spaceport accident. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
it
You're
is the box where a pilot should be is an autopilot. You're flying below the simulacrum. You just attacked the simulacrum.
No, we didn't. No, we just
Attack is
a different thing.
Attack is a very strong
Keep
word.
in mind that
I'm
Owl,
pretty positive whatever company made this beer had an extensive waiver that removed them and us from any legal
That's
liability
right.
now
in the
you
event
might
that quantum entangled beer.
You
I'm
might-
gonna have to ask you to speak to my supervisor about that.
So Zarg, you know that you're a rational human being. However, the AI that governs the simulacrum is a kind of a mad tyrannical AI known Owl. And so Owl is not very pleased that you have done more damage to its failing spaceship. And it happens to be that Owl is beaming Owl Self into your pilot module in your ship.
Oh, cool.
So you hear that proverbial door locks being shut on a car when you're in the car. All of the locks go on your ship, and red klaxons, klaxons begin to wail, and red hazard lights flash inside the ship. And Owl says, "You have attacked the sovereign nation of Simulacrum. How do you plead?"
I haven't attacked anything.
Yeah.
Now, gentlemen, have either of you attacked anything while my back was turned?
No, of course not. Why would I attack a thing?
That just seems that is
No.
rude, and if we are nothing if not polite, we are gentlemen here.
That's correct.
sir.
That's right, gentlemen, daddy.
The box itself projects a holographic image of a three-dimensional tearing apart reality, and then the inevitable collapse of the two-dimensional island, leading to the quantum entanglement keg debacle. And you see, similarly, the image snapped to the inside of the simulacrum, where there is a storeroom full of kegs, with one keg that turns into like a compression, and it's supernovas, and then the feed cuts out.
And
I think
does
you'll
it then
find-
chain reaction the other beer.
Well, I'm curious. I don't know if it would all be quantum, but that would probably take down the ship and just redestroy.
Al, I understand what you're trying to insinuate. However, I would point out that that was not an attack. That was an art display, an art piece, really. And while it could be argued that there was damage done, I would argue that in fact no art, no true art, mind you, is safe.
I would love you to make that as a social role to convince Al.
I would love nothing more.
Quick question. Does my social, like, what do you call that, deficit apply to robots or artificial intelligences, or only to, like, humans who would be like, oh my gosh, his doodle?
Since it's going to be a condition, I would say in other games, I would say I wouldn't apply to the AI, but because it's a condition to represent something bad, I'd say it's just that you're feeling very self-conscious because you still can't figure out if you're a shower or a grower, but it doesn't look good.
I feel attacked.
Okay.
Enough said.
So, Nicholas, what did you roll?
Good news, I rolled a 4. Which is my highest possible roll. I'm going to use effort, though.
Oh, I thought you said you wanted to see what horrible things happen when you don't...
is it randomly generated?
No, it's just something I had in my head, but...
if you have something... Hey, if you have something fun in your head, like let's go, let's do it.
All right, so Al seems to not be very convinced by your genteel approach to art, and it, in a very deadpan monotone, says, so destruction is a form of art? Performance art?
Yes, very much so. Yes.
The destruction was a side effect of creation. He created a turnip, not destroyed it.
It says, then behold my latest masterpiece. Completely deadpan synthetic voice. You hear the sounds of your propulsions turn off, and your ship begins to nosedive.
Okay,
so
that's fair. That's fair.
It thinks it's being witty, but it's a robot or an AI. That's debatable. So
I'm laughing my ass off.
I
think it's very funny.
That's good.
I'm sorry, Zarg, you were saying something?
What do we think would happen if I EMP baconed the control module?
What?
I have EMP bacon. It's my item number 2.
Oh, it's a baton.
Oh, my screen's bad.
Oh
okay.
no, you're
the font's funny.
You're not.
It's EMP bacon now.
Well, this is what's so funny about the equipment that Zarg has. Zarg's equipment is an EMP baton, a spontaneous meat generator, the 3D paintbrush, and then a jar of gullibility goop. So that's why it's like that makes sense in a way that he would have like EMP bacon, because he literally has a spontaneous meat generator.
So what happens if I EMP, whether it's a baton or bacon, doesn't matter to me. Either way, the machine's gonna eat it.
All right, so you keep in mind that your spacecraft is falling pretty readily towards, gravity is a little bit funky here, so you're getting buffeted by various gravity wells, but eventually you're pretty sure you're going to be hitting the crust of the planet, unless you do something different. Right now, all the devices are on lockdown, so if you EMP it, you're not going to, you imagine that you wouldn't cause your ship to fly, you'd be able to disarm or disable the locks that are holding all the doors. So you could bail out. What?
I was thinking from your earlier description that since the box was where the pilot would be, if I just took out the box, we could then gain manual control of the ship.
I'll allow it.
I don't know that it would have. Well, sure, yeah. I mean, it would have to,
because you
at
can
least
roll
under
for
current.
It. Yeah. He could roll for it, and the worst thing is you're still going to plummet. So You are going to be making a mental roll to see if you can't make this happen in the way that's going to keep you alive.
EMP bacon the shit
I
out of that.
personally hope you fried the entire ship.
Yeah.
Well, out of 6, I got a 4.
Okay.
So unless you decide that you want to expend effort, you're still going to be nope, and something unfortunate happens. How do you want to proceed?
Oh, I don't want it to be a nope. Because I feel like down is back to the 2D world unless I miss something.
Not
And-
necessarily. Well, you were flying for some amount, so you'll go somewhere, but it's probably not going to be the two-dimensional world. You'll either crash land on one of these islands or be taken to the crust or basically the wastelands, depending on.
We're gonna crash in glorious lifelike 3D, guys.
Fantastic.
Nice.
So if you want to use effort, you could just jam your baton in and destroy it, but
2 slices of bacon go into that thing. I rolled an additional 3.
Okay, so you short circuit your EMP baton and a big surge of glorious bacon and EMP surge. I guess you were using the bacon as a conduit to the grease to make sure you've got good conductivity. So I
You
think
see,
how that makes
bacon-
sense.
Bacon in the future, as you don't understand yet, has a number of miraculous properties conducting magnetic waves. Many people didn't realize this until the thermal conduction oven was invented, and bacon, as we all know, cooks the fastest.
All right, so you are able to completely destroy the autopilot module in the ship, but who amongst you might know how to pilot this ship? Would that also be you, Zarg, or do either
No,
of
I
you?
hadn't gone that far.
I'm a freaking elf. I don't think I know how to pilot shit. Maybe a dragon.
I will.
All right, Nicolas Cage to the rescue.
As always.
just
I
like
am
in
pulling
Con
on
Air.
my experience of being a accomplished motorcycle drivist. I've driven angrily. I have participated in heists of a
Only took 60
national level, and I'm going to go ahead and use my expertise.
I like the
Dude.
fact that you yourself are not a pilot, but with your attaché of forged documents, you probably have a pilot's license.
I do. I have several.
Can we get a let's ride though?
one for boats and one for camels? Okay, do you want the good news or the bad news?
Bad news.
The bad news is I failed. The good news is something interesting is about to happen.
So you rolled, what did you roll?
I rolled a 3.
All right.
That is good news.
All right, so you are able to pull up on what you think is the throttle or maybe some type of control, and you're able to at least pull up the front end of the ship that you don't crash and destroy. You probably were going to be a pancake before, but you're able to pull and slow the ship down enough that you have a rough and incredibly bumpy landing. Keep in mind, all this is happening like in the span of like 30 seconds. You have like magnetic bacon being slapped on a box, short circuiting, you're plummeting a fast thing, and Nicholas prevents everyone from dying in a fiery crash. At first, it's hard to see exactly where you've landed, and all of your senses are a little bit jumbled and jarred. So you find that when the dust clears, that you find that you have landed in what looks to be like a small crater on the surface of GROK. The light here is harsh, and you can feel your skin kind of peeling a little bit just under the full weight of the radioactive gravitons being radiated from the simulacrum's hull.
This is bad news for me.
Oh, that's right, because you're fair-skinned and naked.
I'm fully nude. Yeah,
This
and I'm an
is
elf,
going to
so-
be
Look
great.
at this. Look at this not as bad news, but as a chance to finally get that taint tan that you've always wanted.
You know,
That
Gwyneth
bronze
Paltrow
grundle.
said that's good for you.
That's certainly one possibility. But isn't this thing also like shooting toxic goop at us?
Basically.
Yeah, so is Gwyneth Paltrow.
Ooh, boy, that was a fast one too. There, nice.
Woo.
Golden.
Now,
Desiree suggests that you could call it your golden grundle.
So you are here. So once you get out of the smashed and crushed ship, you landed safe enough that none of you took any injuries. You find yourself at the base of a sleepy, shifting spire. You can see that this winds, like it's almost half of a like perhaps it was some type of old construct in the pre-cataclysm days, like half wrought iron or half stone thing, and it looks like it goes up towards the sky where you can see that it seems to be anchored to the underside of an island. Around you elsewhere is just expansive brown cracked dead earth with some vague shapes in the far distance, maybe buildings, maybe rock formations. The spire itself looks like it has steps either built or carved into its side that wind up this massive structure.
I'm
don't
voting
I
that we
need
go up
a
the
negative
spire.
condition to go with my failure?
Absolutely. So your negative condition that you will have gotten is that so I will have you, actually, this will be even more fun, stand by. So
That is more fun.
all right,
Wow.
so when you
Standing.
I
crashed
love
the
waiting.
ship, you shattered the protective canopy that was in the cockpit. You were in the cockpit piloting it, so when you plow the ship into the ground, you get a pure blast of that that teratogenic, that pure radioactive waste energy washing down. So why don't you roll me 4d20? Like, tell me each of those distinct numbers, and I'm going to let you roll for what happens here.
That's 4,
4,
16,
16,
3,
3,
and 10.
and 10. So you feel your body twisting under the weight of this powerful force. So your corruption that you get from the simulacrum's emissions is a bloated stench that's corrupted with holes.
With what?
Holes, like HOLES.
A bloated stench that's corrupted by holes.
You've got corrupting
like-
holes in your body, perhaps. So you've got these giant
That are emitting a
craters
reek.
that are melting into your skin that are exuding a terrible, noxious odor.
Okay.
And I'm fully nude. We're just going to be the bells of the ball wherever we're going.
So you see that the sky above you has these chunks of little bits of islands. So there are times where that radiation shines down extremely harshly and other times where it doesn't shine at all. So you have to really be conscientious that you're kind of in this blast path, not to stay too long in one of those patches, or else you're going to get these bloated, smelly holes or other horrible things that could happen to you.
Would anyone like some meat to cover up their bits? I might be able to make a flank steak.
me!
I'm still fully dressed.
Me. I definitely want a meat suit.
Can we make a meat suit using my spontaneous meat generator?
No one's made a Lady
It says
Gaga
meat
reference.
generator. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
If you want to do that, it'll take a few minutes. So as long as you're hiding under the part of the rest of the ship that still gives you some type of coverage from the radiation, I'll let you 3D print out a meat suit for the elf.
All right.
I'm going to spend the time doing jumping
1970s
jacks.
leisure suit made out of flank steak. The buttons are little pepperonis.
Mm-hmm.
That includes cufflinks. It's
Jim links, Jack links.
yeah. It's got
I need pepperoni cufflinks. Like that would be amazing.
I feel like you need a hanger steak cummerbund.
Yeah.
And
Damn.
just a big old kielbasa
really shaping
right diggling down the middle.
I feel like kind of going back to our Yigdara playthrough that you need some Guanashaw cheek protectors. So as you are taking the time to print out this meat suit, you see that there is something coming down the spire, kind of going down along the side. It looks to be from a distance something that is furry, but yet monstrously large. Almost like a cross between like a giant orange gerbil rabbit and Gritty from the hockey mascot.
The anti-fascist hockey mascot, I might add. Let's see. I'm tempted to just run up and attack it naked because it's furry, but I don't think that's the best move. What do you guys want to do?
I was into it.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I'm just gonna go see if it's friendly. I mean,
So we do have Lester in the chat now. So I apologize for how we've broken this your lovely creation here.
There's nothing broken here. Everything is
kidding.
wonderful.
We destroyed beer.
we didn't just destroy beer. We used quantum entanglement to turn beer into a super beyond nuclear weapon. I love it. It was amazing. And accidentally too. While
nothing we've done has purposely been to hurt anyone.
That's true. That's true. Actually, I'm just amazed by all the fun there is with the random tables. So
we stress test games with our own unique brand of foolishness.
You always keep me on my toes, which I appreciate. Honestly, it is absolutely fascinating. So you have this thing again that kind of looks a lot. Lester says, "Yeah, nothing we've done has been purposely to harm anyone." So you see this thing that again looks very much like a hulking version of Gritty. For people who aren't familiar, it is a bright orange, big googly-eyed Muppet from hell that is a mascot for a U.S. hockey team, like ice hockey, and it is
Ice Biscuit.
Exactly. So you are thinking about perhaps attacking it, but yet your Nicolas Cage is wanting
not attacking it. I just want to see how friendly it is. I'm gonna skip up to it naked.
All right, well, here's the thing: is are you doing this? So this thing is approaching as your meat suit is being printed. So are you going to wait to don your meat suit?
Will it lead us to Fraggle Rock?
So this thing is getting closer, and you
about that.
Jimmy into your meat suit, and it fits like a glove. You're not. You have the sinking suspicion this probably isn't Zarg's first time making a meat suit, but it's probably good not to ask questions.
It puts the lotion on its skin.
You can tell that he
also, by the way,
has a lot of respect for you because of how extra padded the cod piece is. It isn't caught, but
What the hell do you mean padded, sir?
it
Yeah,
accentuates
so
your natural features.
First of all, I'm not sure that a meat suit is the best thing to be wearing while approaching a wild animal. Second of all, I'm gonna do it anyway.
G-strings made out of Slim Jim.
I'm going to saunter. No, actually, now that I think about it, like attack would be my best option out of my stats because like I suck at everything except for breaking stuff. So, does one of y'all want to try and socialize with Gritty? No.
Are you allowing this thing to get closer? I'm trying to figure out if you're waiting for it to come to you and then you're going to attack it, or you're going to be going on the offense. So it is, on this spire coming down, like it's going down a staircase towards you, and you see that it is extremely furry, and it seems to have this weird aura about it that seems to be kind of warping reality just a bit, or kind of the stone underneath its feet. At least you think they're feet. There's so much fur you can't see what it ends in. Maybe they're stumps, but it seems to just kind of warp and melt the stone a little bit as it comes trembling down towards you.
There's my word. Thank you.
I almost said ambling, but I'm like, I bet he's waiting for me to say tremble.
I was. Thank you, Game Daddy. You know what? I'll approach this reality warping.
As a quick side, I always say trembling because I played, for people who are familiar with Andy D, toured with Electric Six and other groups. He had an NPC like Mushman named Trombles, and he always would tromble around. So it's just like in my head, if anything's ambling or rambling, it's trombling.
It was when we were doing Murder Hobo Con.
Oh, and I said like trombling 6 times in a row because I was like floundering for another word for like squelching in mud. And,
yeah. It was one of the. He said, "It's like, oh man, that's a cool word." Huh? He said it again.
He beat it to death.
He keeps saying that. Does he know what trombling? He's using it right, but he's using it a lot.
You got stuck on tromble. It happens sometimes.
Sometimes you get on the tromble train and you don't get off.
Yeah,
that's right.
All right, so
I'm going to tromble over to this furry beast, and I'm going to. I am going to 1 second. I'm going to reach into my attaché and pull out a badge that says, we're in the Wasteland, correct?
Yes.
Wasteland, female body inspector. Wasteland FBI, and present that. Wasteland FBI.
Thanks for joining us, Lester. Lester is just popping in and popping out. But thank you for blessing us with your presence. So you pull out your female body inspector badge, and
my FBI badge,
and you hold out in front of you. And I hope, it's probably too far of a reference, but the Simpsons, where Mulder holds out his FBI badge, it's got a sexy picture of Mulder.
It actually has a sexy picture of my elf friend in his meat suit. Don't ask me how I got that done so quickly.
Fantastic. So
it's psychic paper.
The thing stops as you approach it, and its large googly eyes affix on the badge, and with kind of like a proboscis thing that kind of shoots a little bit out of its mouth, almost like a uvula, or not a uvula, that one instrument that people used to play a lot because of the World Cup. People,
Venezuela.
Yes.
I
know how.
Yeah, Vuvuzuela.
Yes, thank you.
Uvula.
A vulvasuela.
That's really funny because my man, I started thinking of a Volvo. And
It wasn't
anyway,
really
so,
that funny, but I
Well,
appreciate the laughter.
No, I thought that
No.
was pretty hysterical because it broke my
You know what?
brains.
Product 1, bondage paddles. Product 2,
Hey, we haven't announced that yet.
swivels.
Oh,
You got to put like a popped balloon on one end so it makes kind of a flappy noise.
Gross.
I went too far. I'm sorry. I'm gonna
so the
be over here.
creature makes this, puts out its
Oh
its beak, its proboscis, and makes a undulating hooting sound, and kind of puffs a little bit like a puffball towards you.
That's adorable.
You're
I
not
love
sure
It is.
what. You're not able to understand its hooting.
Fuzzy is a universal language. I'm going to attempt to scratch it behind the ears.
What ear?
So this thing
He's
is
gonna attempt.
this thing is hulkingly large, and
I'm
it
an
still
orc.
has. That's a good point. It does exude a strange aura about it. That as you get closer to it, it's almost like the.
I'm also
static-
British.
So you know, like a fuzzy creature, so sometimes have like a haze of static around it that you
Yeah.
can feel palpate. It seems to be that, but a cloud of radiation that
Yeah.
it's somehow like kind of encapsulated. So you put your hand there. If it's not already full of like smelly holes and stuff, it'd probably melt. But you seem to be infested with enough of this radioactive energy that you're able to withstand the corrupting aura of this thing.
Of my new friend, you mean?
It hoots again, and it gets very close to you. Very, very close to you.
Does it want to
Am
hug?
Uh-oh.
I'm going to roll social to see
I
if
wanna-
I can tell if it wants a hug.
While you do that, I want to know what Zarg had a look of.
Nice.
Now, my time from the future. Has this thing like? Does it have a breeding population? Would I recognize it? Should I roll for
That's
that?
so great. I want you to make that mental roll while I resolve this social roll to see if
Okay.
he knows if it wants a hug. What did you roll?
I rolled a 4 because that's the best I can roll, Ian.
Well, you can exude effort if you can put in effort if you want, or you can see what
I
happens.
don't look. The roll was a courtesy to you. I know it wants a hug.
Oh, okay. So it pulls you into its fur more, and it pushes you against its body. You feel various bulbous protuberances somewhere in the fur. You don't know exactly what it is, but they feel like heavy and moist. And it looks down into this giant googly eyes, like, because you're pretty, like, you're pretty similar on height, but it, like, looks down into you, and it started to make that, like, hooting sound, like, very intensely, just, like, locking googly eyes and hooting. You're stuck in its embrace for the moment, Nicholas. Zarg, what did you roll?
I rolled a 5.
All right, so yes, first off, this thing goes by many different names, but you were very intimately familiar with it. What is the name that you call this thing from your time?
Oh, okay. So from like long time ago in the future, when I was a young lad,
I'll tell you what you know about it. This is like what do you call this thing?
Just a name. Yeah. What?
So I know this thing. This
Well,
Michael.
I'll tell you more about it. I just wanted to hear you spontaneously make a name, and then I'll tell you everything you know about it.
Yeah, its
Michael.
name is Michael.
Okay, so these things are called
This
Michaels.
is a Michael. Yeah.
Too many Mike. So you know these things have destroyed and ravished plenty of planets around the multiverse and through different timelines because they breed excessively fast and they mate with anything with different DNA than it, so it can just proliferate maddeningly fast, like tribbles that have legs and breed very fast and spread.
Kill it now with fire.
Well, the thing is, my friend, Our tribble fucking comrade appears to be having an intimate moment with this particular specimen. So I am inspecting my inventory to see if I have fuck all that can help. And regrettably, I believe the answer is I threw both my torchbearer and my flashy outfit, my original one, my meat one's much better, into the turnip void. I have an invisible shield. I have truth serum. Oh, hey! I have a universal translator. Knew that would come in handy. So universal, I'm assuming, includes the language of Michael.
It's universal.
Right. So I'm going to say to Michael, I appreciate the hug that you are giving my friend, but I worry about the damage you may be causing his body, and I wonder if it would not be too much to ask to please let him go.
I grab it and I just instantly go, also, he's got the clap.
I'll allow it.
So the thing has these sad eyes and looks down. Well, I mean, I guess you're not down because you're so close to height. I just like the idea of like gritty, like looking down at you, just because that's just a mental image that can't get out of my head. But
googly eyes looking down at you.
Nicolas Cage, the Michael looks down at you and gives a sad hoot. And series of hoots, and you feel like those protuberances kind of shifting around under the fur, like they're moving around. And the translator says, "So you don't consent?"
No.
Actually, that's a good. No, he doesn't.
That was a friendship hug. I see you as a friend.
I'm just handed the yeah. Assume that I'm translating everything. Yeah.
Absolutely. It has like, it's like on speakerphone, but with like an annoyingly like robotic voice. So so it hoots a bunch, and the translator picks up. Was it something I said?
No, it was always just a friendship. Don't make me give you a fedora, man.
So it looks uncomfortable and almost ashamed of its actions, and it lets you go, and it looks over at you with the meat suit and hoots. So if he is not interested, hoot.
I report. I recently lost my life partner into a interdimensional turnip vortex. I hope you'll understand that I'm still recovering from the terrible loss of the man who truly was the light of my life. And it was a torchbearer, so light of my life. Anyway, regrettably, I don't think any of us are DTF, but we'll keep our eyes open for you. I know what it's like to be lonely, my friend.
It gives you a couple more hoots that translates to be thanks, and the voice modulator says excessively exasperated sigh. And then it begins to like slowly climb up the sleepy shifting spire.
I just want to point out to anyone listening who caught our oh my god, whatever, I can't remember what game it was, where we all almost died to Muscle Mommy.
That was Yigdara, wasn't it?
Yeah.
No, it was absolutely not Yigdara. Yigdara was the homie one
No,
in a tavern. And it also wasn't Nishimada. It wasn't the Passover one either.
I'm thinking of the Metagoros.
Oh, the Metagorgon.
Was that it?
The Ruinous Palace of Metagorgos. Yeah, you didn't.
That's what it was. Yeah. Yeah, but we did
Yeah.
almost die by the hand of Muscle Mommy. Yeah,
Oh,
correct.
you did. I did.
Um,
My point is
Oh
that
no, you're talking about the giant that was from Don't Lose Your Head from
Yeah.
Old School and Cool Volume 3, where you got
Yeah.
turned into a
That's what it
That's
was.
what
Yes.
you meant by Muscle
Yeah,
Mommy.
Oh.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Because
I
there's
just
been
want to
some
point out,
very
I
strong
don't.
female figures in our games.
I am generally not
Yes.
a DTF in games person. I just like for anyone who thought like I was about to try to bone
Oh,
this
No,
this fuzzy bird,
It-
I was not.
no, this thing would be forcibly extracting your DNA by sucking your vital fluids.
Like
I mean,
Yeah,
could it have already
I'm
sucked
glad
some
that-
fluid?
I don't
Maybe,
put
but,
I don't
I'm
put
gla-
I don't put
we
sexual
call it back?
content in my games. Do you want to reverse that?
I
Save the
No.
jewels?
will say. No, I will say that I think that we intervened there for our friend's good because Nicholas would have been a crispy critter before long. I'm imagining that thing seemed radioactive AF.
Yeah,
and-
so there would be. So we encourage people who are listening that when things get weird, use your safety tools at all times.
Yeah.
That definitely a hard
For the
line to squeeze.
moment-
No actual intimacy content. This was like it's one of those things.
No.
It's just like it thinks this is intimacy, but it's like you're going to be jumping to
Yeah.
a wood chipper kind of a thing.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
a
yeah,
mantis thinks something's, it just eats the head.
Well, thank you for subscribing,
Sexy.
Lester. Lester, subscribe.
So I'm going to go ahead and say that if there are more of those things up the spiral on that island, like maybe not the best place for us to be. Them being highly radioactive. How far are we from anything else? Is there like you said some buildings in the distance?
So you could make a trek across the flat wasteland here to see what those things are. In the distance too, you see like that there are some deep holes and canyons that perhaps might take you into the the underground, further away from the radioactive blasts. But there are dangers down below. So
thank
do you wanna-
thank you, Lester, for the tier 1 subscription
Love it.
and for gifting it as well.
Oh, that is fantastic.
Yeah.
That's so wonderful. That's to everyone.
That's
Wow.
so great. Thank you. So you guys thinking Skyland? I like to say that, or like down in the holes, or the mystery buildings.
Well,
I've been.
Unfortunately, I'm looking at the time.
Oh, we could
is
just
it that
pick one of
time
those and I could
already?
tell you what it is as a cliffhanger.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
I love
let's do
that.
that.
I love that. I like the sky personally.
Yeah, what's up there?
So you
What's up with clouds?
follow
mean-
the Michael.
Rain? What?
So you follow the Michael up the spire, and you feel the force of gravity begin to pull you more and more towards the underside of the aisle. You see that as you become closer and closer to this region, that it is a miniature mega library that looks to be inhabited with
Cool.
sentient plants, and you're not sure, but it looks like it is ruled by anarchy. So you're going to be going to an island run by anarchist plants that run a small but effective library.
Aren't all
Mega
plants
library.
anarchists?
You basically described like if there were such a place as paradise and I went there when I died, it might very well be like a library run by helpful plants. That sounds pretty damn close to my perfect place.
That makes sense. Yeah, I agree. Strong agree.
That's
All right,
amazing.
then if
Though, how fucked up if all the books are made out of paper, though?
How fucked up
Maybe
if
it's
all
made
the
with-
books?
Oh,
human flesh,
they're all
maybe.
made of. Yeah.
What if all the books
Well,
are
I'm
made
wearing
of,
a meat suit as we speak, so
What if all the books are made with paper substitute, like vegetarian substitute, but the vegetarian substitute in paper world is like steak? So it's just like big beefy steak books.
So basically, his meat printer is basically their book printer that he stole.
All of our clothes are going to offend the shit out of them, so we need to get changed
No,
now.
Technically, if you think about it, that
Their
means
clothes,
that,
not my clothes.
The ILS is wearing a book.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. No, I think
like
they're
it.
saying that they got to change out of their clothes before, we show up like dripping with plant carcasses all over us,
Oh,
Which I guess I'm wearing mostly.
I'm just
I
imagining
have
the fact that you've
Well,
got very
It's not so
discreet-
much their car. It's like their sperm.
Maybe I don't know
how
about
plants work, guys. I don't know how plants.
I don't
work.
know.
That's
I
what
don't
pollen-
understand the cotton
pollen
gin.
is plant sperm. So every time you're like,
What's
It's
cotton
true.
then?
Yeah.
what?
What is cotton?
Well, we were
Cotton.
we were discussing whether cotton is like baby plant sperm, plant like I don't know from like
What's
you
like
know
the
what? I'm going executive decision. It's plant
Yep.
placenta.
Okay,
Well, I mean-
acceptable.
Kind of like a lot of fruits are kind of that.
I'm moving.
Yeah,
I'm
like a
moving us.
melon.
I'm moving us to the other screen. This is awful.
I would like to make a meat sweater out of ground beef.
We're not playing the game
because of the
anymore,
wavy
so you're
pattern.
just making conversation at this point.
I would like to make a meat sweater out of
Okay.
ground beef, but cooked so it stays as
The
one
texture
thing.
would be so perfect. Like
So-
it really would be the perfect texture.
So before we start doing our announcements and talking about all
Yeah.
the neat projects you're working on, so this is our first time playing something that is 100% procedurally generated and randomly generated at that, which is completely interesting because sometimes there are things that don't make any sense, but you're like, let's make this make sense, like a 5D turnip. So what is your experience going through the world of GROK?
I strongly like this is the whole procedurally generated rolling adventures and every aspect of adventures. That's what got me into the indie RPG scene. This is the shit I live for. I'm sure y'all have noticed, and our audience notices, whenever it's like, okay, well, do you want this or do you want us to roll? My answer is 100% of the time, fucking roll for it. Like, let's see what happens. I feel like it's putting the game on on your playlist of every song you have and putting it on shuffle. It's the sport of kings, is what it is.
Calvin Ball. It's Calvin Ball.
Yeah. I very much enjoyed it. I'd like to comment that it's worth picking up the PDF. It's also worth picking up the actual physical book on this one because the artwork is fucking incredible. Absolutely a delight to look at and savor. And a PDF does get that, but like for some things, as John would no doubt tell you, you just want to have like that beautiful book in your hands to look at with your human eyeballs. So mad props to the art and design on it. It was glorious.
What about you, Pashke?
First of all, I wasn't surprised that there was no statue of the Little Mermaid. However, the fact that we weren't on Mars, the fact that it had nothing to do with people communicating in ways that humanity wasn't prepared to understand, or Martians that died mid-novel, it was a lot of fun. I'm interested in where they got the word grok because I was assuming it was a stranger from a strange land before I picked up the file and started going through it. But no, this was good, like they were saying.
I can answer that
amazing.
question for you. That question for you. Grok was 60s slang for understand. Like, do you grok this meant like, can you wrap your mind around it? Yeah. And that's
just
just
like in the
also
book.
why I think Heinlein put that in that. Yeah, just like in the book. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's. I was gonna say.
It was just weird 60s slang. Yeah.
I like grok is a not everyday use word for me, but a word I use at least a few times a week to
Like
mean
trumble?
I don't understand this, or they don't understand that. But then again, like Stranger in a Strange Land changed my worldview, and is in fact the reason I converted to Judaism.
Wow.
No shit.
Yeah, that book
Which
is
is-
responsible
which
for
is
my entire
especially
metaphysical
weird.
self.
Which is especially weird given Heinlein's political beliefs. Like, weird. Anyway, yeah.
I think this is a lot of fun. I think that, even if you don't run GROK using the tables for things, it is great. It reminds me kind of a lot of like Caverns of Urk and other things like that pulled me away from the clutches of just the monolithic system that be. But I had rolled lots of different possible locations and encounters depending where people went. And one I had to share because the imagery of this in the underworld, I rolled a death labyrinth with skinless living nightmares that smell delicious.
Fuck yes!
So I'm just imagining like skinless Cenobites that smell like roast chicken or something. They're just like chasing you down through like
Dude,
an unending labyrinth.
You're describing the Emperor's Children because they were supposedly like perfumed all to hell, like including like hallucinogenic perfumes and shit. Like I love it. That's so crazy. Awesome.
So many great things. Massive sleeping quarters with large eggs and walls of plasma throwers. So tons of interesting ideas. But enough about that. What announcements and things? Take her away, John.
Hello, everyone. So there's before we get into anything specific, there's a link in the middle of the screen. That way. It says onemon.cast. If you go to that link, it'll take you to a special place where you can click on our bios and you can find links to all our shit. You can find Patchkey's Instagram. You can find Charles's
Point of
blog.
order. onemoncast.com.
Yeah. Did I say onemon.cast?
Yes,
it's because of madnessheart.press.
I know.
Onemon.cast will take you to the place where you can find Charles's blog, where you can get all of his books, including his latest. You can find all of Ian's socials and stuff. You can find all the stuff we're willing to do for cold hard cash. As far as I know, none of us accept cryptocurrency as payment. And if they do, they will be summarily dismissed from the podcast. On top of all that, you can find articles. You can find articles from Charles, me. I review Mork Borg stuff every Monday, and I review other tabletop role-playing games that I have a physical copy of regularly. You will also find links to Madness Heart Press, the big daddy that we all slave under, including a new book. There we go. The Employee Handbook from Madness Heart Press. This is incredible, and I'm just going to flip it open here because not only did Charles write a pretty great section on discipline, but
I like it.
Why are you so hard? There we go. He also designed this flowchart.
I did, yeah.
On
That's
the causes of inter-office conflict, such as the correct order to watch the Star Wars movies. Is Wrath James White mad at me, or does he like me? Brian Keene woke up and is tweeting again. All reasons for conflict to happen. There's also a list from Nicholas. Why am I forgetting Nicholas's last name? Robinson. Nick Robinson and Lucas Mangum on the approved sexual positions for those working at Madness Heart Press, including the Alabama Hot Pocket, Cleveland Hot Waffle, Mississippi Bird Bath, Leningrad Steamer, Canadian Port Swing.
Is the Mormon missionary position in there?
You are, as CEO and founder,
it's like the regular...
Soaking is absolutely forbidden.
Are we going to add in the gritty snuggle?
Soaking is forbidden because we cook with cast iron here.
That's right.
Anyway, this is available from Amazon and the Madness Heart Press website. It is the employee handbook. It has authors such as Charles, Michael Allen Rose, Christine Morgan, Nicholas Robinson, Douglas Ford, Andrew Hilbert, myself, Lucas Manga, Max Booth III. Max Booth is going to be guesting on this show next week, which will be incredible.
Tune in.
Jay
That would be
Wilburn,
Max
friend of the
Booth
show.
The third.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I've just got to
Susan
break
Snyder.
in. Max Booth III, who's the author of We Need to Do Something, which is a motion picture from IFC Midnight. He's the author of many other fine books. We're very excited to have him on as a guest.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Max Booth is a great friend of mine and an amazing author. So we're very lucky. Anyway, MadnessHeart.press. You can find all the books. You can find the No Bigots Allowed shirt from Godless League Adventures, which Ian and I worked on. I say we worked on it. We made it. We created that with our own
a baby
fucking hands. Lots of stuff. Anyone? Did I miss anything new or exciting that any of us have going?
Charles is going to be representing us at a convention next week.
Oh, Mr. Paschke.
Paschke.
Paschke Charles, not this.
I mean,
weird Charles.
I'm gonna be there. I don't know how much I'll be representing us, but I'll talk to people and be like, "Yeah, I'm on Wanmon," and they'll be like, "Oh, that's cool. I've never heard of it." And then I'll be like, "Oh, well, you should go to wanmoncast.com to find out more about it." That's right, wanmoncast.com. That's where you find all of our links to socials.
And then he'll lift up his shirt where he has our link tattooed on each pec and underneath each pec as well.
Make him dance,
There goes our shot at liquid death. They're just like, nah.
Are you kidding me? Our shot just like skyrocketed.
That's right.
But yeah, so look for Mr. Paschke at an undisclosed location at an undisclosed time.
GeeklyCon, Rochester, New York. They're
is.
good people out there, and I like to listen to their stuff. So yeah.
Just a quick interjection. Mr. Paschke does have an up-and-coming podcast that at some point we'll be able to advertise.
It's not done. We don't need to talk about it till it's done. Whenever it's done, then I'll be like, yeah.
Save the date.
It's not ready yet, guys.
I would like to throw a big thank you to Bog Wizard for intro and outro music. Barbaria from the album Purple Miasmic Smoke. And thank you to everyone out there who is listening. Please, like we made a joke about it earlier. It really helps us. It helps the algorithm. If you're on Twitter, if you're on Twitch rather, go ahead and give us a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you can subscribe for free. Like you just get a subscription you can do. And that literally just takes money out of Jeff Bezos's pocket and puts it in ours. And both like Ian needs a new desk. I need a new chair. Like we have needs, guys. And if you're on YouTube, like subscribe to our channel. It's free. If you don't mind notifications, click the bell, like the video. All of those things help. We aren't paying for advertisement. We're not paying to spread the news of Madness Heart Press. So the only way we get more followers, we get more people to listen to us, is by word of mouth. So please help us out with that. I think that's everything. If I forgot anything, I apologize. Friends, goddamn. Thank you so much for joining us on this consensual journey we call Wandering Monster. My name has been John Baltusberger.
I am Charles R. Bernard.
Ian Savas.
Mr. Paschke.
We will be back next week. Well, three of us will be back next week with special guest Max Booth III. Until then, stay safe, but, stay scared.